Welcome back to Dubsy Bricks for another episode of building Gotham City, and I'm going to continue to work on the docks area to start with. Want to get the floor tiled off inside. There's still too wide of studs missing, and I also want to get the stairs put on the side and make a start on the building at the top. The crane here, this runner, I need to push that over by one stud, and that's so I can put some pillars coming up off of the front here where the people with their boats will be able to chuck the ropes when the boats are mooring. So there's plenty to crack on with on this. I also want to work on the runner along the top here so that the cranes won't topple over if there's any weight on the end of them. But the second crane there, I still need to try and find some parts out. And again, with the cab part of this, I need to order some parts in. So the list of parts is ever growing. Anyway, that's enough talking. Let's get building. And there we have the stairs going up the side of the warehouse, which will lead to the offices that are going to be on the top. I've built them into the wall. These are the two of the pre-moulded stair pieces that you get. And the reason I built them into the walls, I only wanted them to protrude by 3 studs as opposed to 4, as I want as much room on the side here as possible so a forklift could go round the back if needs be, rather than going through the warehouses. So that's the reason for that. On the top here, it does need another step. However, the roof section is just on the line where the next one would be. So I think I need the next step to actually be built into this roof section, and then I'll just put a tile on the top there so it rests on there without clipping in place. Next up, I need to just work out how I'm going to be having the runner on the top of here. At the moment, it's just resting on here, and the wheel just rests on the runner. However, I just need something that's going to overlap it slightly so that it keeps the wheel actually in place. So just need to modify that slightly. Once I've done that, I'm going to know how high it comes, and then I can put the Falcone sign and then the office behind it. So plenty of challenges ahead with this building, so let's get to it. And here is the Falcone sign that I'm going to be putting on the top of the warehouse somehow. I've tried numerous different techniques with this, different styles of writing, and this is the cleanest one to there. I know it's all capitals with the exception of the N. However, it was the best looking option I came up with. So all we need to do now is work out how we're going to build that into the top of the building. And once we've done so, we'll check back in and show you what it looks like. And I've made a start on the office that's going on top of the docks here, on top of the warehouse. And I've made the sign Falcone. Originally, I was considering putting it on the roof on here. However, I don't think it's going to look right. It's not going to give me the look that I'm after. So I'm going to go back to putting it actually, I'm going to build it into this section of wall here. So lose these windows and then put Falcone across there. And it's very much in keeping with the original picture that I saw, which had Gotham docks written across there. So I'm just going to take those windows and those bricks out of this section, build the sign in and see how it looks, and then we'll go from there. Once I've worked out if that is where the sign's going to go, then I can get back to working on the top here. This section here is the start or the continuation of the runner, and again I just need to make sure that this is all how I want it to be as well. I was having a bit of trouble with using the rail track on the top here with the wheel lining up perfectly and having a plate on keeping it in place. So I'm just working on a new technique for that. Anyway, let's start dismantling this section, put the sign in and see what it looks like. And just in the middle of adding the Falcone sign to the warehouse, I just thought I'd show you how it's going. The Falcone sign is an odd number of studs in width, whereas the building is an even number. So in order to get it dead central on here, I'm having to put it on jumper plates. Now that's enabling it to be perfectly central. What I'm doing on each end is I've got some snot bricks with a tile on the side. There will be a very small gap there, but I'm more than happy to have that and have this central as opposed to it being offset by one stud. Now in the centre of the building, the separating wall between the two warehouse buildings is a one wide wall. And again, this is actually on jumper plates as well. So it's meaning that it's actually lining up with the sign. So I'm actually going to be able to build the sign into that wall. So I'll put the next plate that goes along here, or brick, will actually be connected to that wall, and then that will help keep this sign in place, because at the moment it's only going to be connected by the jumper plates on the top and the bottom. This Technic brick here is also the Technic pins connected to the wall. So on the end of the wall there is the one of the 1x1 Technic bricks. So again, this wall's nice and sturdy. Well, I thought I'd just share that with you. Anyway, let's carry on building that sign back up, get all of the tiles put back on place, put the roof on, and see how it looks. And here we have the Falcone sign on the warehouse. Relatively happy with it. I might change the colour of the font at some stage, but one thing I am going to do is move the whole sign back by half a stud. Now, where I've attached it using jumper plates on about 4 or 5 points there, I'm going to use the jumper plates that are 2x2 with the stud right in the middle of them, and then that'll allow me to offset it by half stud going backwards. There is room behind here, so that's not an issue. All I need to do is modify the connection to the wall that's in the centre there, but I'm sure using some plates and jumper plates and tiles we'll be able to do that. So let's dismantle it, see what we can do, and we'll show you what it looks like. And here is the Falcone sign built into the wall, and as you can see, it's stepped back by half a stud on there, and really preferring the look of it being half a stud back. Just feel like it adds a little bit more character and depth to the building, the same as these numbers here. There, the wall that they're attached to again is also stepped back by half a stud. So that's that part done. Next up, going to concentrate on the building at the top here. And here we have our first attempt at a roof section for the office, and it just rests on top of there. Sloped forward, the gravity's keeping it all in place. Next up, I need to work on the road section out the back and the pavements where the loading bay is. So I want to put a couple of steps in on either side here, get these all tiled, and then what I also need to do is sort the road section out in here, as the previous one is too large to fit in that gap. And that's the loading bay all sorted out. All of the sides have been tiled off. The road part, this has all been obviously changed to the correct size now. So we've got the two like bay parts just here, as you can see. Not sure whether or not to leave this section as it is at the moment or bring the curb over here, but I'll leave it for the time being until we get further down the mock and swap more of the details in on that. With the Falcone warehouse here, there's still a lot that I need to do, like sorting out the top of here, need to put a wall all the way around and things like that. But the first thing I'm going to do next is work on this railing here. As you can see, it's still the old style as opposed to the new one. So I need to raise up by a couple of plates and get the design of that all changed over. So let's do that part next. And there we have the runner all the way along the top of the docks area. Do need to put a tile on the top of there or on the bottom of it when it's all in place, as this is quite flexible, so I want to just keep it so it's looking like it's in perfect alignment. Now below these 6 crisscross parts, we've got a mixture of bricks there and more of those below this end. And what I want to do is put some masonry bricks in dark bluish grey all the way along there, so it's just one row of those crossed bricks. And then what I want to do is have a pipe coming out of Ace Chemicals, go into the wall, and then it'll also stick out at the end here. And I want to have some sort of like spillage into the water. And then I'll change some of these tiles out so you can actually see the chemical spill along there. Also, we'll build some masonry bricks along this wall here, or along the platform here as well. So it's separating Ace Chemicals from the warehouse area. So that's the next couple of bits we're going to be working on. So let's get the relevant parts out and make a start on it. And here is the pipe that's coming out of Ace Chemicals along, goes into the wall, which will then be going back through here and pop out into the water. So all I need to do now is continue to build this wall up here, put the cross sections back on top of that, and then do the spillage in the water there. So let's get building on that brick wall and then get those details put in. And here is the latest on the docks area. As you can see, we've got the pipe coming out of the wall here with a spillage, and I've used the lime green plates and the trans blue tiles. Now this is not as bright in person as it's shown on the camera. However, I do want to experiment a little bit more with different colours underneath there, so it's a little bit brighter than I was anticipating. So I might try the dark tiles on here, or the darker green, and just different things like that until we come up with one that I'm 100% happy with. The rail's now all complete on top of the masonry brick wall, so I'm really happy with that. Again, I've still got to do a little bit of work on the fencing side of that. The crane attachment here, it was very weak on this section here because it's on the jumper plates. I needed it to be offset by half a stud, so I have had to put some Technic pieces underneath it just to connect it all together. So now it is nice and sturdy. Still got to work on the actual crane itself, and on the end here, on the runner, it is just using the round plate and one of the tile versions of that, and it's all kept together with a Technic pin, but that does slide along nicely. Now I still have to find the runners out to do the second crane, so that will all be coming in there. And on the warehouse here, we've got a couple of doors, and they both open like so, and both sets of those will open. And it still needs to sort the doors out at the back. They're a totally different technique, but again, just need to find the pieces out. I know I have got some, but there are so many details that I've still got to do on this, especially around the top of the warehouse. But it's just a case of coming across the pieces. I know they're somewhere, but I'm still in the process of sorting the parts out from Jabba's Palace. Anyway, that's as much as I can get done on the docks for this week. So we're going to turn our attentions now to a different part of the city. Here is one of the first buildings that I made for the Lego City, and this originally was going to be the GCPD. All of the floors had removable panels so you could see inside of each of the floors. However, it's not really going to be necessary in the long term. It's not something where I'm going to be showing around the insides of every single building all of the time. There will be some buildings where there will be a necessity for an interior, but due to the fact this is no longer going to be the GCPD, I don't think it's actually necessary anymore. Now, one other thing I am thinking is this building would look a lot better in tan and dark tan. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a base plate that would house this building, a Mills plate, and the foundations properly, because at the moment this was just going to rest on a base plate. I was just going to tile it off, and I'm going to make the ground floor using tan, dark tan, see how it looks, and if I like the look of it, I'm going to build the rest of the floors up in the same style as that. So we're just going to see how that looks, and once we've discussed, if we like the look of it, then we'll dismantle this and then use all of these bricks and pieces around the docks and the raised platform area and on any future buildings. But first of all, one thing we do need to do is sort through these 3 bags. Now, these are just a few of the bags that I've got here from Jabba's Palace. I need to find out all of the masonry bricks, the different plates, the wedge plates, so we can crack on with making this mock. So let's get sorting and then we can get building. And here we have the double Mills plates. I've attached 2 together. It's all 2x2s under there, with the exception down the centre where it's the 2x4s. And what I want to do first of all is get a template out for the flat iron on here. So we're just rest on the top, and then I want to raise it up by just a couple more bricks just around here. So the pavement will be along the front here. Then there'll be a raised section at the back. And then I'll just tile off around it and also put some park benches eventually, trees and things like that. So let's make a floor up and then we'll go from there. And here we have the start of the base for the building. Just putting it on here just to make sure that it's going to fit properly. I've got to put the curved bits on the end here. What I'm going to do now is put a brick wall all the way around it, just 2 bricks high, then support that on there, and then I'm going to fix this floor in place, then put the extra layer of plates over the top, because each of these floors is 3 plates thick, just purely to protect the hinges so it all clips together nicely. And then I want to try and fix this in place. There is a little bit of movement here on the join, so what I want to do is put some wedge plates up against it, and then that'll keep it all 4 nicely together. And here is the base all ready now for the lower floor to be attached to it. I'm hoping that these steps only go back by 4 studs and I can fill the gap in there, as when I put this on, that's going to go right up to there. That is quite close to it and I don't want it that close. But I'm going to attach this onto here first of all, see how it looks, and if we need to amend it, I can do so straight away. And just checking in with an update here. This part of the floor, that's all been attached to the main base here, so there's numerous plates underneath this. Put the tiles down on here, as the next section is going to be off studs, so it's not going to be in line with any of the studs on here. I was originally going to put some wedge plates to push these two sections together. However, the hinges that are going to be in the middle will do that job for me, so I don't need to worry about doing so. So I'm just going to attach this section after tiling it, put another row of plates all on the top, and then once I've done that, I'll be able to start working on the brickwork around the edges. And here we have the plated section all finished off on top here. Took a while to get the wedge plates in here, just so it filled in the gap as best as possible. I want to have the door central, as I had on my original flat iron building. And the one thing I am thinking is these steps aren't going to work here. I don't think it's going to look right. So what I'll probably do is make the steps on the corner here. So I'll chop this corner part off and have the steps coming up. But I'll worry about sorting that bit out a little bit later on. What I want to do now is try and work on the brickwork around this edge here. I want to have it different from before and have it so it's tan and dark tan going along. So I just need to work out what pattern I want to do. So let's start on that and see what we come up with. And just checking one final time for this update, and as you can see, I've got all the snot bricks in place there, and just experimenting at the moment with different tiling options on here, whether it's the 2x2s, the 1x2s, or the ingots with a slope, or the 1x2s with the slopes. And yeah, it's just a case of working out which one I think looks best, if any of those at all. I think over this side I'm going to experiment a little bit using actual bricks, whether it's the masonry bricks or the plain bricks, whether it's offset by half a stud or a stud, bring them in and out. So I'm just going to have a little bit of an experiment over the next few days with this and see what we come up with. But all in all, happy with the progress on here. Need to find a load more of these light bluish grey tiles out so I can do the pavement area along here, because I think that's going to be a massive part of the look of this. Obviously at the moment there's so much tan on here because I've used the tan plate as my filler plate underneath on the mills plate, so I just got to imagine that's not there whilst making these decisions. Also need to put the stairs in there, so I think I'm going to make that one of the next jobs to do, so I can visualise the whole thing whilst I'm doing that brickwork. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this update. If you have, please give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel, and please share it with your family and friends. Anyway, thanks for popping by. See you next time. Bye for now.